Welcome to Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests. And now, your host and mine, Trevor Devall.
That is something else. That is quite the reception. Thank you all so much, Animathon in Edmonton. This is Trevor Devall. This is Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests. This is the 4th episode. I'm so pleased to welcome back my listeners. Welcome back, listeners, and welcome to all of you in the live studio audience here at Animathon in Edmonton. For those of you who might just be tuning into the show, this is, as I said, Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests. It's an internet talk show starring some of animation's hottest voice actors. I decided that I wanted to bring a show just to the fans that would kind of be like bringing the convention into your iPod. Because a lot of the times we get asked so many of the same questions, like how do you get in the business and what are your favorite stories and such. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a little radio show where we could interview some of those actors and as I said, bring the experience of the con into your headphones. So welcome to it. Today I am very happy to present a special guest. He's a very special guest, and we're very happy to have him. And not only because he's an American, and let's face it, this is the first real American we've had on Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests, but this is a great honor of mine. I'm a big fan of this particular gentleman, and I'm sure you are too. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show Mr. Vic Mignogna. Hello, Vic.
Oh, you guys! Oh, you crazy kids! I love you. Get out of here.
Well, thanks for being on the show, man.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I didn't even know you were doing this, and then when we were here together, and you said, podcast and live audience, and I was like, this is going to be fun.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I'm very excited. It's a new thing for me.
Absolutely.
Normally, I create this show out of the comforts of my closet at home.
And a very nice closet it is, I'm sure.
It is. My guests are stuck in the closet most of the time. Well, I guess that could be taken all kinds of ways.
Yes. Have your guests come out of the closet recently?
Well, not on the show, anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, man. And we're, just for those of you who are listening, we are on the 3rd and final day of Animathon here in Edmonton. And
it has been a heck of a time.
It has been. Yeah. You guys digging the con so far? Thank you all again for coming out. This is fantastic. This is very exciting for me.
It's always great to be at Canadian cons. You guys really know how to put on a good party, and it's a pleasure. And I know I can speak for my good friend Kyle Hebert, another very famous voice actor from America.
There he is, up in the corner. Up in the corner. That's awesome.
Oh, say, can Kyle see from the back of the room with his head so bald and his lollipop licking?
I want to get this ball rolling right away. What do you think about that?
Let's roll that ball.
Okay, I've got to play a little bumper for you. I think you'll find very intriguing, and then we'll get the show on the road.
You know I like your bumpers.
And now, Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests presents In Memoriam, a history of our guests' long and faithful service to the cause of voice acting.
All right, so Vic Mignogna.
That was a prestigious piece of work
It
right
was, and too bad our audience couldn't hear that. But they'll all hear it when they tune in to www.trevordevall.com. Won't you? Won't you? Yes, you all will.
Get your tune on.
That's right. So, Vic, you are very well known and very, very well respected in the animation world.
Who told you that?
Well, I read that in a program
that I wrote.
You're probably best known for Edward Elric.
That sounded just like him.
Well, I'm trying to take your job.
Yeah, I've been very blessed. I've got to play a lot of characters in a lot of great shows, and recently, over the last, I guess, year and a half or so, the one that everyone really enjoys and wants to talk about a lot is Full Metal Alchemist. And, what's that? We don't dare tell your listeners our little technological breakthrough here, do we? But I've had the best time. There are only a few shows that have the kind of magic that show does, and I am so enormously privileged to be a part of it, and a part of a great cast. I mean, it was really a great pleasure and privilege to work on that show. So.
How many episodes did you do in total?
There are 51 total episodes, which is actually just about double an average length of a season of a show, like 26 episodes. A lot of shows are that 51, and then there was the movie.
Right.
And then there have been a handful of video games, and I think some more video games are coming down the pipe.
Right.
Ooh, that was a bit of a spoiler, I think.
You heard it first, right here on Voiceprint.
You can edit that out, can't you?
No. So, Edward, give us a little Edward, wouldn't you? A little shorty.
What did you say? Yeah, that's not him.
Maybe a little. What would Edward say if he was on, say, an internet podcast called Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests? What would Edward say?
Well, I'm glad to be here with you, and I'm sorry my brother can't make it, but he can't fit in the door.
Very good. Well, that's awesome. So
watch the short jokes.
So in addition to...
live audience was a great idea, Trevor.
So in addition to Edward Elric, what are some of your other big characters, your favorite shows?
Well, I mean, you guys might even be able to help me. There's Dark and Dean Angel, and Kugaji and Sayuki. I'm playing Fi in Tsubasa Chronicle. Kurt Weber in Full Metal Panic. Gosh, help me a little bit. I play Ikaku in Bleach. Yeah, thanks so much. Security, escort that man out. He said the B word. Broly in Dragon Ball Z, and Yu Yu Hakusho, and Trinity Blood, and Case Closed. I've done about 100 shows now.
That's awesome.
So I've lost track of a lot of them. I'm not that smart. I can't keep track of them.
I understand that.
Yeah, the one guy and the other thing.
And you're based in Houston.
Yes.
That's your base of operation.
Yeah, I've been in Houston about 15 years now. I guess that kind of makes it home, doesn't it? So how long do you have to live someplace before you start saying, I'm from Houston?
Yeah.
I used to be from back east. I grew up in Pennsylvania, in the Pittsburgh area, so I was a big Steeler fan, Pittsburgh Steelers. Woo-hoo! And then I lived in Virginia, and I worked as a director-producer at a television network in Virginia. And so my mom lives on the beach in Ocean City, Maryland, a beautiful vacation town. And so I kind of used to say I was from Ocean City because that sounded kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I can't say that anymore because I've lived somewhere else for 15 years.
Gulf City. No, Houston isn't on the Gulf, is it?
About 60 minutes, actually. It's just about an hour's drive from the Gulf of Mexico. Galveston is the big beach town there.
Right, of course.
But I love Houston. It's a beautiful, beautiful city. And it's got just about everything you would want. It's one of those big cities that's real friendly. It doesn't feel that big. And it's the fourth largest city in the country. And a lot of people don't even realize that. But, I mean, all of the arts and the music and opportunities like ADV.
I was just going to say, it's the seat of power for ADV Films, which is a huge anime studio.
And a lot of people don't realize this, but, ADV was started by people just like you. These were guys that loved anime, and they loved it so much they wanted to see it dubbed into a language that they could enjoy and other people could enjoy. And so 15 years ago, as a matter of fact, isn't that right? Matt Greenfield,
yes,
who helped start ADV, said yesterday at a panel that tomorrow, I believe, is ADV's 15th anniversary.
Wow. That's something.
So you know what I want you guys to do? I want you all to get on ADV's website and try to find some place to contact or correspond or send in comments and say happy birthday ADV, long live ADV, and give them a little shout out, because these are people that love the stuff you love, and they've been doing it really well for 15 years now. And I'm very, very, very grateful to be a part of it.
Well, happy birthday, ADV.
Happy birthday
to you.
Mr. Anime Maker.
Mr. ADV, releasing lots of excellent anime. Happy birthday. I'm not sure what I'm doing.
That did perfectly.
So, you've been in the studio a long time. You've done all kinds of shows. If you had to pick some of your favorite moments in the studio, what What would they be?
Well, I don't know if you're like me or not, but some of the most favorite moments are the ones that were not planned.
Of course.
The ones that no one will ever hear, if you know what I mean. Like getting characters that you love to say things that they would never say. A lot of people know there's a story that I've told way too many times about powdered sugar donuts. But what they don't know is that when I had first started, I took the first donut, and when I decided I was going to eat it and swallow it, we were actually recording, and I just finished a line that Ed had said, and I went, these donuts are good. And so for the next 3 weeks, the engineer in the studio made that the alert noise. You know how whenever like you hit a wrong key or something, and your computer may go boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, or pinku, pinku. His goes, these donuts are good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know the feeling.
And I have to tell you a lot. I have to tell you some of the funniest stories. Really, are things that happen to other people, and I just heard about them and thought, "Oh, that's hilarious." I have to tell that story.
Matty Hill was telling a story on the last show about Gary Chalk, who plays Optimus Prime in Transformers, as well as countless others. About for those of you here in the live studio audience who maybe didn't hear that show, what happened was Gary was trying to deliver a nice belch. For whatever reason, they needed a belch. Who can belch? Said the director. And Gary said, "Oh, I can belch. So he takes his big can of Coke and he gets up to the mic and he promptly throws up all over it. And apparently there is an actual audio.
So he
file
really
swimming
poured
around
himself
it.
into that role.
Yeah, it's cool. I remember I had a similar kind of thing. I was doing some show at Ocean, and I was riffing with the Elvis voice. For some reason, man, I was just going Elvis all the time, and something screwed up with the mic. And I was going, "Oh, man, there's too many flying monkeys in here, man. There's flying monkeys everywhere." And from that point on, for like the next 3 weeks, every time anybody would have a sort of technical screw-up, like they'd fub a line or something, the engineer would play, "Flying monkeys everywhere, man. Flying monkeys."
I love it. There was a show I'm actually just finished doing called Papua. And it was just a little fan favorite kind of a show at ADV. And I was playing this character named Arashiyama, and he's really kind of wacky and over the top. And there was a line that I was doing, and it was like, "Come on, let's go." And the line was too short, and he stayed on the O mouth much longer than he should have, And every time I would go, "Come on, let's go," it didn't fit because his mouth was just hanging open. So the director's like, "What are we going to do? What do we do? I don't know. How can we write? We can't really write more flaps because he's not flapping. He's just this big O." And so I went, "Okay, I have an idea." And so he said, "Okay, roll it." And so they roll it, and I went, "Come on, let's go." And so for the next, even 3 shows later, this particular director, every time he's getting ready to start recording, he'll go, "All right, let's go."
Oh, that's awesome. Now, I understand that there was a big award show that happened in New York.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
This is pretty exciting.
Yes.
There was some nominations, and I believe a victory. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about that?
Well, those of you in this room, I don't know that you would know a lot about this because you're up here in good old Canada. But back at the beginning of this year, in February, there was organized and held the first annual American Anime Awards. And it was put together by some companies as a way to kind of, generate some excitement about the anime industry and to show how far it's come over the years. Very much like an Emmy Awards or an Oscars or Tony's Awards. And they took nominations and had fans vote from all over the country. And then the fan vote would narrow it down to 5 people in each of the categories. So they would have, the standard categories: Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Actor in a Comedy Role, Best Long-Form Show, Best Packaging, all kinds of different elements of the business. And I just want to thank God for the privilege that I was honored to receive the Best Actor award. And I have to tell you what's funny is that the other guys that I went up against, the final 5, were all good friends of mine. I mean, Yuri Lowenthal and Crispin Freeman and Johnny Bosch. These are friends. So I got to tell you, I'm sitting in the theater. This is a televised thing. I'm sitting in the theater as they're reading, showing the clips, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, Vic, lose with grace. I was deciding what I was going to say to Yuri or what I was going to say to Johnny when they won and be congratulatory and support them and be encouraging. And when they called my name, I just started tearing up, because it's such an honor to do something that you love and to get encouragement and support from people that love what you do. So if any of you guys out there, whether on podcast or whether here in the room, voted, I want to thank you for that. And you guys are the greatest. Thank you.
That's awesome. That is awesome. We, up in Vancouver, we just recently started an annual awards show as well. It's not specifically for anime, but it deals with awards in all kinds of animation as well as video games and stuff. So there's technical awards. And the first year we were totally excited about it because it was like, wow, finally an award show where, finally there's some recognition.
Yeah.
And we noticed it was, what was really interesting is the very first year, the one category that was missing was the actor category. They just sort of neglected to mention us.
Oh
and it was too bad because one of my absolute heroes in the world was hosting it. Mr. William Shatner came up to host the show. And I desperately wanted to meet him, but I couldn't because I wasn't invited to the show. Because I was just an actor.
Damn it, Trevor.
Jim, this man's a Klingon. Yeah, anyway, so congratulations on that. That's fantastic.
Thank you. And, it was quite an honor. Quite an honor.
That's cool. We're going to take just a little tiny break right now, but we'll be right back with Mr. Vic Mignogna.
We interrupt this eargasmic cornucopia of pure audio win to shamelessly promote another podcast.
No!
A big, bald broadcast.
What makes it big and bold?
The Big Bald Broadcast brings you news on all things geeky, movies, gadgets, games, cartoons, and anime, and other random fandom.
You're fired.
I'm fired.
Get out of the booth, Jack.
No, I like it in here.
But what makes it big and bold?
It's hosted by big, bald anime and video game voice actor Kyle Hebert and his co-host, musician and upcoming author, Otherworld Steve.
Oh, you must smell like feet wrapped in leathery burnt bacon.
Subscribe via iTunes or visit thebigbaldbroadcast.blogspot.com.
That was totally wicked!
From the producers of Placemat, the movie, and That Show Was Kind of Popular in 1983, the motion picture, comes the feel-good film experience for anyone who's ever lived. Dreadworks Pictures proudly presents Movie, the motion picture. Meet Jake. He's a fast-talking con man with a heart as big as his mouth, who must pose as the president, who's paired up with a chimpanzee. Together, they must beat a dog at basketball, and they're making the world a hilarious place, one banana at a time.
But when the White House is taken hostage by Eurotrash terrorists, they must have graphic sex with Michael Douglas. Or is it? Because in a world where nothing is what it seems like nothing is the world. Or not. And through it all, one man wrote the music and won the big court case that changed the world and won the hearts of a dreaming generation, that inspired the legend of his own true story. Say yes to destiny, and don't say can't. Don't run. Don't hide. Don't turn around. Don't blink. Don't breathe. Don't swallow. Don't do anything.
Because sometimes life is right where you left it, and the last place you look is right before your eyes. It's about sisters and each other and the pillow fights in between.
Based on the best-selling market research survey, Movie, the motion picture. Everything and nothing at the same time.
Coming soon to every theater in the world.
You're listening to Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests.
And we're back with episode 4 of Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests, and my very special guest, for those of you just tuning in, is Mr. Vic Mignogna, all the way
Trevor.
up.
Hello, Vic. It's good to see you.
I'm so glad to be part of your show. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you part of my show. It's great. We met for the first time at Anime North in Toronto a couple years ago.
And I can see it like it was yesterday. We were at that outdoor. We were sitting at an outdoor place for lunch that was right across from the convention center, and it was you and the Dobson boys and I don't know if Scotty was there yet.
Yep.
But,
well, he was there at the con.
And a couple others. Vincent was there. And I remember sitting there going, okay, I've heard these names, and these are the guys. So I'm like sitting there trying to put a face with all of the names that I'd heard before. And it was such a neat privilege to be with you guys up there and meet you for the first time.
What is interesting about meeting you there was I had just seen my very first episode of Full Metal Alchemist like weeks before, and I had no idea that you were the guy. And so we're sitting there talking, and then somebody said, "Hey, you know who that is, eh?" And I said,
"Take off."
Totally. Who's that, eh?
Beauty.
See another Canadian? Totally beauty.
I hate him, eh? He sucks, yeah, right?
No, he's awesome because he's an American, you know? He's talented. No, they said, no, that's Edward Elric. And I was like, that guy.
He's way too old. And way too tall.
No, but it was great. And I remember the other thing that I remember about that convention was you and I sitting down for dinner at the big dinner, the Friday night or whatever, and we talked Star Wars all night.
Oh my gosh, didn't we? Oh yes.
And it turned out that Vic is like a huge Star Wars fan.
Geek.
And I like total geek. And you've got like a collection of lightsabers as well
I do.
in your home or
you're not
something.
supposed to know about that.
And now the world knows about it.
Great, thanks, Trevor Devall. I ever since I was, I'll tell you guys a funny story about lightsabers. When I saw the first Star Wars, I mean, like, when was that, 76?
77, I think.
77, I remember I was so fascinated with movie props when I was young, and I still am, but when I just started getting into it, I would take a notebook into the movie theater, and I would sit there in the dark and follow Luke around the screen and watch the saber swing from his belt and try to draw details of what I thought it looked like. And then I went to, my dad knew a guy that owned a machine shop, and I went and rummaged through this guy's scrap pieces and put together a lightsaber based on what I thought it looked like. And I still have that saber to this day. And so about 15 years ago, when certain companies in Hollywood started getting the license to distribute and make exact screen-accurate replicas, I was like, okay, I'll take 5 of every one. And I'm a total geek about it, and have made a lot of friends on the internet because of that interest, and some very good friends, actually, that have become very close friends. But yeah, I'm a geek that way. In fact, the Star Wars Celebration, the big 35,000 convention attendees in Indianapolis. Yeah, I was there. And I was dressed as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, there's only one group of people that I think are more dedicated than Star Wars fans. And those would be anime fans.
Oh, you know it. You know
it. These fans are something else. They always blow my mind. The dedication to the shows and the characters and everything. That's why I love coming to these
And you know
things.
what else? They are the most generous people I've ever seen. I have a beautiful home in Houston. It's a 4-bedroom home, and 1 bedroom I sleep in, 1 bedroom I've turned into a recording studio, and the other 2 bedrooms are full with gifts and wonderful things that fans have made or given or written, and I'm completely overwhelmed. I can't even begin to describe to my friends at home that don't understand or don't know anything about this world how wonderful the fans are, how giving and how generous and how supportive and encouraging they are. It's
Absolutely.
unbelievable. And friends that I've invited to come to a convention and see for themselves, they walk away all saying the same thing. The kids are amazing. These kids, I think they don't know what to expect, and so they have a preconceived idea in their mind of what these kind of anime fans are going to be like. And you guys, let me tell you something. Look in your eyes and tell you, you impress them without fail every time. These people, once they meet you and they see what you're all about, they walk away going, "Wow, I had no idea. These kids are great. They're great people. They're really good people.
Absolutely.
And so, that's the best part of it.
Big round of applause from us to you. You guys here and everybody who's listening, too, a big thank you. Without you, we wouldn't have jobs, for one thing.
Yeah, jobs are good.
Jobs are good. So listen, Vic, how did you wind up getting into this business in the first place? I noticed that everybody has our own, we all have our own stories, we come from different worlds, different backgrounds and things, but how did you get into doing animation?
My story is very surprisingly uncommon, at least where I come from in Houston. I've been acting most of my life, ever since I was very young. Bless you. That's the beauty of a live audience.
All right, I can't even cut that out because it was right during a take. Thanks a lot.
Sweet. A little louder, closer to the microphone.
Yes, could you do that into the microphone?
Yes. Let's take it once more.
Once more, but with phlegm.
All right. All right.
So I've been acting most of my life. I was one of those kids that would get involved in every school play and would be involved in community theater and church programs, anything I could. And about 10 years ago now, I was working on a video production in Houston. And a friend of mine named John Gremion, who is an amazing actor and veteran voice actor with ADV, said, "Hey, you know what? You've got a lot of acting experience, don't you?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And he said, "You ought to go and audition for this place in Houston called ADV, and they do this Japanimation stuff." And I was like, "What? You mean like Kimba the White Lion? Or, or what?" And he said, "Yeah, like Speed Racer and all those great shows that come from Japan." So I went and auditioned, and I got cast in this show called Street Fighter 2. I played Vega, and it was a lot of fun. And I at the time, the studio was about as big as probably your closet. And
my closet's pretty big, big boy.
But I started doing that, and then the next show came up, and I got cast again, and again, and again. And then I met some people at a convention that worked with Funimation in Dallas. And Funimation, as you guys all know, they're the studio behind Full Metal Alchemist and Dragon Ball Z, and a lot of great shows. And started working with them. And it's kind of just like a big snowball picking up speed going down the hill. And the neatest thing is about 5 years ago is when the industry really blew up. When anime just exploded and suddenly it was everywhere. And I was just very blessed to be a part of it when it was a very small entity, and I'm just excited to be a part of it now.
And how many years is that now for you?
It's going on, I think, 9 or 10.
Right on.
I try not to I try not to think about it, because then that means I'm a certain age and we don't like to go there.
Yeah, it's going on about 43 years now.
I was doing anime when we carved it on stones.
You should try making a flip book out of rocks. Oh, but that was dedication, Mcneil.
We ran along the side of the cave. That's how the pictures moved.
But
I tell you, it's pretty hard to dub a show when your only vocabulary is
But people like Monica Rial
Yes.
and Chris Patton, we all started at ADV at the same time. And at the time, it was just like this little core of people doing something that they loved. And now the industry has just exploded, and there's so many great studios all over doing a lot of great shows, and it's an exciting time to be part of it.
That's very cool. Another sort of question we get all the time, or I certainly tend to get all the time, at every convention, is a question from people who really have an active interest in trying to get involved in the industry. I think I get asked that question probably more than any other question at conventions.
Right.
So if you had any advice for people trying to get in, what would you tell them? Or what have you told them? Or what are you about to tell them right now?
Well, I would say the surefire way would be to change your name to Trevor Devall.
Oh, please.
No,
wait, don't do that.
Change your name to like Frank Duvall or something. I'm Trevor's brother. You're in. We love it. No, actually, you know what? A lot of us say the same thing, especially those of us from the Houston area, and that is getting into voice acting is really twofold. Number one, acting. A lot of people think that because they can make funny voices or they can imitate funny characters on television, that they would be a great voice actor. And while that is a great talent, voice acting is much more about the acting side of it. And so the more experience you can get in acting, the better. Get involved in your school plays. Get involved in community theater. Find opportunities to develop your skills as an actor. The second thing is you need to be where the work is. Sadly, I mean, I've told people before, you could be the greatest voice actor, natural, gifted, talented voice actor that has ever come across a microphone. But if you live in Wyoming, chances are you're probably not going to get a lot of opportunities in voice acting because you have to be where the work is done. And that would be LA, Vancouver, Houston, Dallas, and New York City for the most part. Now, there's voice-over work just about everywhere, like, Sunday, save, retail stuff for commercials. But voice acting, there are certain places where it happens. And you need to be where the work is.
There's a lot of websites out now, like voices.com and things like this, which make it a lot easier for people to do voiceover stuff from their own home studios, regardless whether they're in Wyoming or wherever they are.
Oh,
but
yeah.
The vast majority of those sites that I've come across, anyway, tend to be more commercial-based, tend to be more, you need to buy this car or else girls will laugh at you and you'll die alone, And there's a lot of people that are very good at that. I'm clearly not one of them. But
I'd cast you. That was good. That was excellent.
It's funny whenever I go.
But the truth is, there is a lot more of that kind of work out there
Yeah.
than there is voice acting work. So
Yeah.
that may be a great niche, a great way to get in, and build up experience. In using your
Although,
voice.
I mean, there is a tendency in a lot of markets to sort of slate people as one thing, and if people start to hear you as that commercial guy, then it might be difficult to. I know that I get this all the time when I talk to DJ friends of mine who are, hey, they're on the radio and they've got great, presentation. They do a ton of commercial stuff, but they're all trying to break into animation. They can't seem to do it. It's like, well, I don't know what it is, Trev, but for some reason, people just don't want to put me in their cartoons. Well, maybe.
Well, you have to be versatile. I mean, you have to be able to let go of that, DJ voice, and certainly, and we were talking about this in the panel the other day, that a lot of the reasons why dubs got so much better about however long ago that it happened. Remember, everybody remembers when dubs were kind of bad and would make fun of English dubs. Well, that was because back in the day, it was radio people that were doing it. It was DJs, it was radio.
Casey Kasem did every voice ever made in cartoons.
Exactly. And they weren't actors. They were voiceover guys and radio guys. And I think anime took a dramatic turn for the better when they started saying, hey, you know what? Let's hire actors. Let's hire people that actually create characters. And who cares if they don't sound like a DJ or a radio personality or have some kind of a big resonant booming voice? Let's try that. And we all, I think, can see the difference. But there is. I wrote something on my website. A lot of, as you said, I get a lot of inquiries about getting into voice acting. So I'd like to tell you guys about a website. It's the RissenbullRangers.com.
And how do you spell that? Because
that number again
is RissenbullRangers.com. Go to this website or you'll die alone and girls will laugh at you.
It is RISEMBOOL Rangers.com. And this is a fan club of online anime fans, and it's a great group of people. And there's a button on the front that says About Vic, and you can click that. And I've written a very extensive breakdown of so you want to become a voice actor, or what do you want to know about voice acting, and answer some of those most commonly asked questions about the business.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. I just want to say how awesome that is. Yeah, no, that's great. RissenbullRangers.com. I'll put that up on the show notes on the website too,
excellent.
so all the listeners can check that out. Is really the worst word to hang on when you're recording anything, isn't it?
I like that.
Okay.
Let's practice our vowels.
Okay. So I've got a few things just to mention to you here before we get on to the question part
Bring
of the website.
Bring it on, big boy.
Martin, who's sort of the anime guru over at YTV in Toronto, which is one of our big networks out
Hello,
here.
Martin.
Hello, Martin.
Love you.
Martin's been very good to the show. He's provided a lot of
Has he been in your closet, though?
I can't afford the plane fare from Toronto, but soon.
No, he's provided a whole bunch of information for our show, and he continues to do so even for this particular show because he wants you to know, Vic, that Full Metal Alchemist is still continually airing on YTV.
Oh, that's good to hear.
And also Mar, M-A-R.
Oh, my gosh. Actually, Mare.
Mare.
Have you guys seen Mare? Oh, my gosh.
So that's on YTV now as well.
I didn't even realize it was on up here, actually.
Yeah,
that was the first gig that I ever got cast in L.A.
Really?
That was the first show I got to work on in Los Angeles.
What's the premise of the show, and who do you play?
I have no idea.
Okay.
So let's move on. It's about a planet that's next to ours, neighboring planet.
And I think there's robots that fight, or magic girls, or something anime.
It's about a guy named Mare. No, it's a really cool show. It's actually a very involved show. Some of you have seen it?
I read the manga.
He's read the manga. So
right
there
on.
you go.
Right on.
Yeah, and I play a couple of characters. I play a character named John Peach, and I also play a character named Ali Baba.
Really?
Yeah, he's Scottish.
Yes, clearly. Let's play the opposite on that.
Exactly. I went for the minimalist approach.
Also, another show which will be of interest to our special guest in the audience right now, Mr. Kyle Hebert. Bleach is also airing on YTV as well. Yeah. Which, as you can hear, is a very popular title.
And you know, Bleach is a lot of fun. I was going to say it was a lot of fun, but we're still recording it. I play a character named Ikaku. And Ikaku is this bald guy, which I love bald guys. I'm not one myself, but I like them all.
Hello,
yeah.
Kyle.
And he, you know, when the first session I did, this character who seems to be a pretty kind of a, you know, tough guy, pretty serious, intense guy, he breaks into this lucky dance. And I wouldn't want to scare away your listeners by doing it, but it was it's one of those classic anime moments where he turns kooky and then he's right back to being the serious guy. So Ikaku is a blast. I'm excited about him. Well, and that's an LA based show as well.
Right on. Well, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to checking that stuff out on YTV. There is a whole bunch of smiling faces I'm looking at in the live audience right now, and I'm sure that some of them will have questions for us on the show. So who would like to be first? Come on down to the microphone right here and be a part officially of Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests. Okay. So, first up, what's your name?
I'm Christina. Vic may recognize me as the culinary alchemist.
Oh,
yesterday.
yes. Hi, Christina. It's
Hey.
nice to see you. I'm glad you're here, sweetie.
Yeah. I have a question. This is going to seem totally random, but can either of you dance at all?
Well, actually, you that are listening don't know it, but I'm dancing right now. I'm dancing in my heart.
I'm dancing more in my nostrils.
The actual truthful answer is no. I can't. You know what's funny? I grew up in a very, very conservative home. Very conservative kind of a very conservative Christian Baptist kind of a home. And while there are plenty of things I don't have any problem with, like my grandfather was like, my mom would say, don't tell your grandfather that you went to see a movie. Don't tell your grandfather that your hair is touching your ears. I mean, very conservative. And so dancing was not something that anyone did that I knew. And so now I wish I could. I mean, I'm a musician. I know music inside and out, but I'm so self-conscious about dancing now. I feel like I'm the biggest dork ever when I dance. So I'm afraid to, actually.
And I only dance alone in the bathroom by myself. And unfortunately, this isn't a video podcast, so we can't see that.
Let's go now to the surveillance cam in Trevor's bathroom.
Oh, and it's a little too grainy again. Too bad. All right. What's your name, friend?
I'm Doug Rusk. I'm just wondering, you were talking about getting into theater in your community and stuff. I was wondering, what route did you guys take after high school? Did you go to post-secondary and to train your voices and train to act?
Not so much
and if
voice
so, where did you go?
specifically. But there's plenty of theater. If you guys move into college after high school, going into college, most full-blown liberal arts colleges are going to have theater departments. They're going to have acting classes, voice and diction classes. My major was film. I majored in film and like the technical aspects of shooting and editing and writing and directing and all of that. But my minor was theater. And my video and film professors used to give me a hard time because I was always in the theater department. I was never over in the video and film department. They're like, where are you? When are you going to come work on your projects? Because I was always over working on a show in the theater department. But yeah, there are plenty of opportunities in secondary education for that kind of thing.
Absolutely. And I coming from Edmonton here, I went to the University of Alberta right after high school, and I spent a lot of years in the bar. But sometimes I took classes, and I majored in drama and minored in classics, and that's where I found directing. And again, in terms of the voice thing, I never thought about voice as a career specifically, mostly because there was no opportunities here in Edmonton to ever, give me cause to think about it. It wasn't until I moved to Vancouver that I realized, oh, wait, there's this whole other thing that can happen. But certainly, as Vic says, virtually every college or university is going to have a theater department, even if they're not, known as, one of the big theater schools. Like, for example, in Canada, the U of A is known for its theater program, as well as Studio 58 in Vancouver and George Brown in Toronto, and there's one in Montreal too. But it doesn't really matter, because what is far more important is that you're out there doing it.
Yes.
Regardless of like you say, whether that's community-based theater or whether that's an official program or anything, it doesn't matter. Any experience is good experience, and I couldn't agree with Vic more.
It's almost like
about acting being the most important part of
it's almost like any creative art.
Yeah.
The more you do it, the better you become. How many of you guys draw? How many artists in the room?
That's
about
half of you.
Do you remember the first thing you drew? You're a lot better now, right? Because you just kept doing it. So you just want to stay with it, And you know what else? Singing, voice lessons. The more, if your dream or your goal is specifically to be a voice actor, the more that you can become familiar with the subtleties of your own voice, the better you will be. And you'll get that from singing lessons and voice and diction lessons, where you start to hear how you can place your voice in different places in your head or in your chest, or how you can change your jaw or pitch to change and make. And the more you become familiar with your voice, the better you're going to be at creating characters and a variety of different characters. So
exactly. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And who's up next to the microphone?
I'm Jesse Quatrin from Holden, Alberta. And
hey, Jesse.
I was just wondering, me and my friends are really big fans of Dragon Ball. I was wondering if you could do some lines of Broly.
Well, here's the thing. The thing is that Broly would be like taking a large knife and jamming it in my throat, in my neck. Broly was a lot of fun, but he was so hard on the voice. I played another character in Dragon Ball that a lot of people don't know. I played Berter. He's a member of the Ginyu Force.
Yes,
yeah, a lot of people don't know that. But Broly is the one that kind of sticks out for obvious reasons, because he yells all the time. It's like, look at me! Right? Oh, gosh. Broly's just one of those... He comes from deep down in the chest, and any word tends to thrash your voice a little bit. Let's see. Of course, all he ever says is Kakarot, right? But,
Kakarot, I choose you for my next victim.
So you do that. Do that very long. And then, of course, the yelling and the fighting, and you're just spent by the end of the day.
And so that's all you get today.
Come back to Trevor's closet.
Cool. Up next, who do we have?
The evil plushie throwing fan.
The evil plushie throwing fan.
My name is Sami. Anyways, there was, for the people who weren't at the panels or listening and stuff, there was an incident in all the panels and then the autograph things where I threw a Vincent plushie at Vic.
It's true. It's all true.
I was just wondering if anything like that's ever happened to you at any other con.
No, you see, people usually like me. What she didn't mention, those of you listening at home, is that after she threw the plushie, she threw a Chinese star.
That was my friend!
Oh, yeah, right. Come here! No one's ever thrown anything at me. But then I've never had the chance to throw it up on top of the projector either, and put it out.
That was mean.
I know it was, and I'm very proud of it.
It's not even my plushie.
Well, perhaps you shouldn't throw it.
That's what I was thinking.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sweetie.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, hi.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I'm
Hello,
from
Jennifer.
AKA Peaches.
Welcome, Peaches.
Ah, Peaches, of course.
I was just wondering, you said you like theater, so what types of Broadway shows do you like, if any?
Well, you know, I've done a lot of musical theater, which is always fun because you get to combine two things you love into one. And I've done a lot. I like doing a lot of dramatic, real serious theater too. Some of my favorite shows. I mean, I love The Crucible. I played John Proctor in The Crucible, and then I actually got to do the show again with a different theater, and I played Reverend Paris.
okay.
And it was kind of neat because the first time I did it, you become familiar with all the characters, and then the second time you get the chance to play this character that you remember how you might have played and had you been given the chance. I've done a lot of musical theater. I've done like Oliver and Camelot and Fiddler on the Roof and oh my gosh, Your Good Man Charlie Brown and blah blah blah. Who do you think I played in Your Good Man Charlie Brown? Trevor?
I would go with Charlie Brown. I would go with Charlie Brown. Too much hair.
Like somebody in the audience, you played the anime freak. No, there is no anime freak, but thank you. No, I played Snoopy.
Snoopy. Actually, that makes a weird kind of sense.
And I'll tell you what, I gotta tell you something. Okay, I'm sorry. We're halfway through the run of the show, and I don't know about you, but when you start doing a show and you do a lot of performances, you start looking for ways to spice it up a little bit. You know, do something fresh, something new that keeps all the actors kind of on their toes, right? So they don't just turn it into autopilot and just go, right? So I was doing this one scene with Lucy, the girl that was playing Lucy, and as Snoopy. In much younger days, it was a college production. I was jumping from one set piece to another as Snoopy, and then I jumped to the base of this one piece of the set and lifted my leg. And so like I was a dog, and I was going to the bathroom, and the girl that was Lucy just lost it. And I think I shouldn't have done that. The director chewed me out pretty bad. But I just, there's so many shows I'd love to do. I'd love to do Les Miserables. I'd love to do Phantom of the Opera. I'd love to do some of the more recent musicals. I don't know if and when I'll get to. I don't have much time to audition for shows like that, but I would love to someday. Thank you for asking, though.
Yeah, cool. No
Thanks,
All
Peaches.
right, thank you.
And next we have...
I'm Nicole Karniski, and I was just wondering, if you could produce your own anime, what would it be about?
Oh my gosh. What an amazing question. I would produce an anime about a girl who... I was
just about to say, are the magic girls or robots fighting each other? Probably something original and never done before like that.
Yes. You know what? You completely caught me off guard. I've never really thought about that. I know that there are a lot of great ideas, and probably a lot of you have come up with some great ideas, and I know Trevor's come up with some neat ideas he shared with me. I've never really thought about it. I do often get into a show, and I think to myself, man, the imagination that these Japanese guys have is amazing. I mean, how do they come up with some of these ideas? And I don't even understand, like, how that thought process works that they get to this idea. But so many of them are absolutely masterful. And I don't even know that I would even venture to try something like that, but because it would have a lot to measure up to. There are so many great ones out there. Have you come up with one?
Well, me and my friend were kind of planning on working on a manga of our own, but we're still developing the plot, so...
Well, I wish you the best at it. You
Absolutely.
go for it, okay? Don't give up that idea. You go for it, all right?
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Oh, you were caught off guard.
I was.
Look at that.
You heard it first on Voiceprint with Trevor Devall. Vic Mignogna, caught off guard.
Falls apart. Oh, look, it's Phi. Yeah. Phi from Tsubasa. Mm-hmm. That's what you guys are missing. You guys are missing all the cosplay.
That's right, because most of these people are dressed up in costumes, of course.
That's right. Looking good.
You do know that you're probably going to be harassed by Kuro Phi lovers, right?
Yes, I do expect that. I fully expect that. For those of you that are like, Kuro Phi, what is she talking about? There are two characters in Tsubasa, Kurogane and Phi. And they're both guys, and one of them's a very hard, tough warrior type. That's Kurogane. And Phi is a wizard, and he's much more gentle and kind and nurturing. And there are a lot of people out there that kind of see the two of them together. Well, I'd just like to say that I don't see the two of them together. I think they're great friends, and they're very close. There's no denying that. But I'm fully prepared for the onslaught of yaoi fangirls that think that there's something a little bit fishy going on. Perhaps Phi and Kurogane are in Trevor's closet. But I personally, I try to be, you know what, sweetie? I try to be as gracious as I can. All I can do is be gracious and say, you know what, I respect you and I love you for having your own opinions, and I hope that you respect me and allow me to have mine. And that's all. But I wish them the best, and I hope they like what we do with the show, because we're sure enjoying it. Thank you, sweetie.
Very nice. And moving right along.
Hi, I'm Samantha.
Hi.
What are your guys' thoughts on playing a girl?
Well, I don't know. How do you like playing a girl? Because you do it very well. I was totally convinced.
Like, it took me a long time to get this wig on.
It looks so great, though. Yeah. Have you ever played a female character?
You mean not Alone in My Closet?
He'll be here all week, folks.
Hey, tip your waitress. Hey. I have, actually.
Really?
I have. We were doing an episode of, what was it? I think it was Bratz, the series.
Yeah.
And I play a regular guy on that named Eaton, and who's really kind of young and just sort of, he's really shy around girls and stuff. But that's not who I was playing as a woman. They had this woman who was she was a warden of a prison, and they auditioned all the girls. They said, we want something really sort of tough and butch, and so all the girls did it. And finally they said, yeah, it's not quite tough. What would you be if you were...
So I played a woman like this. Yeah, you get back to your cells.
Oh my gosh.
That was.
I played a character once in a show called Gravion. And you know Gravion? I played a character named Raven, and he looked like Robin from Batman and Robin. He had this cool mask, and he had this real cool suit on and stuff. And we get through the whole series, and the director goes, "Now you know Raven's a girl." What? When were you going to tell me that? I mean, I've been playing him. Shouldn't I have known this from the very beginning? And he said, "No, you shouldn't have. I didn't want you to. I wanted you to play him like a guy because you know that's what I wanted." So when it came time to do the girl part, they actually brought a girl in to play like her version. He's like, do your best, Raven, Vic doing Raven. And so she tried to, tailor her voice to make it sound like mine, but it was clearly a more feminine voice. Yeah. But that's about as close as I've come to playing.
I did a remake of Battle of the Planets a couple of years ago, which of course was based on the old Gatchaman, right?
Yeah.
And I grew up with Battle of the Planets, and I know that all you guys are going, "Oh, you really should have been just Gatchaman. Battle of the Planets sucked." But I liked it, so shut up. Anyway, we did a remake of the pilot, and I was cast as Zoltar, who's the big bad guy in the show. And this was the greatest day of my life to be casted. Because, like I said, that was like when I was a kid. It was Darth Vader and Zoltar. Those were the two big villains. And in that show, Zoltar winds up being a woman. And I was so excited for that day at the end of the series when it would be revealed that Zoltar was, in fact, a woman. And probably Scott Mcneil would be playing her. They'd probably bring Scott in to do that, because he's always saying, "Oh, I can audition for the girl parts."
Yes. He does too. He does.
Yeah. So we do give it our best.
But you make a better girl than both of us.
You
so
do.
Thank you.
Hello,
Yes,
sir.
Hello.
Speaking to the mic, my friend. We
Get
can't
up
hear you.
close. Come closer.
Sorry, I don't know if this has already been asked, but do you have any projects that you've actually really enjoyed doing most?
Well, I enjoy just about everything I've done. I just get a kick out of the whole thing. I often tell people, don't tell anybody at Funimation or ADV that I would do this for free. Because I just love what I do. It's such a privilege to do something you love. And let me encourage you guys out there. I don't want to wax all serious here, but you know what? I watched my dad go to work every day in a three-piece suit with a briefcase, and he hated his job. And you know what? It didn't matter that he made a lot of money because he hated his life. And it made everyone else around him miserable too, because he knew the next day he was going to be going right back to it. So even when he wasn't at work, he was miserable. And so I would encourage you guys out there, find something that you really love to do. Find something that inspires you. And it doesn't really matter if it's like anime or if it's painting. It could be anything. It could be computer programming. You really enjoy, creating something on computers, whatever it is. Find something you love to do and just figure out a way to make a living at it. And I promise you something. You will be infinitely happier making $25,000 or $30,000 a year doing something that you absolutely love than you would be making $100,000 a year doing something you hate. I promise you for that. So I just love what I do. And as far as favorite shows, I mean, I love so many of them. I don't think his computer hard drive has enough space for me to list the shows that I love. Of course, the top ones, there are some that always kind of float to the top because, like Full Metal and Dean Angel and Tsubasa Chronicle. I'm working on another one called Air right now. So there are a lot of great shows that I've been privileged to be a part of.
And all I can say is ditto. Who do we got next?
Hi, my name's Vincent Jones. I just wanted to ask, because I'm pretty sure all of you and anyone in voice acting, has always told you how you've inspired them to get into the industry. My one question is, who inspired you to start into this industry or to get into acting?
That's an awesome question. For me, I've always been acting. I've always been on stage. I was on stage when I was 7, and I've never gotten off, basically. I mean, literally, yes, I've been off the stage. But, yeah, I've been acting since I was a little kid. But certainly, who inspired me for voice acting was Scott Mcneil. I saw what he was doing, and I was like, oh, wow, I want to be him. Because he was great. He was absolutely great. And then I saw him at conventions, and he was even better. He was so great at conventions. And I was just like, oh, this guy's incredible. So he was a huge inspiration. And I have told him that. It's not like this would be the first time he'd be hearing it. He does know it. We've spent a lot of time in my closet, so he's heard all kinds of things.
And I cosplayed Scott Mcneil once. For the first few years that I was attending conventions, people would come up to me and go, "Are you Scott Mcneil?" And I was like, "No, but he must be a cool guy." No, I didn't know who he was. I'd never met him, and people would show me pictures. Apparently, there was a slight bit of a kind of a resemblance back in the day, years ago. And so then he's, of course, grown his hair out and his beard and stuff. But when I first met him at the first convention that he and I were at, I made it a point to bring a flannel shirt with the sleeves cut off and a cowboy hat, and I brought some fake hair, and I put on a goatee that he was wearing at the time, we had opening ceremonies, and they introduced Scott, and he was in the front row, and he turned around and he waved, and he had his back to the stage. He was waving at the crowd. I came up on stage from behind him and started waving exactly the way he was. And he turned around and fell on the floor laughing. And then I went up to him and we started this whole mirror thing. And that weekend, he and I would walk around the con together, and people would come up and go, and they would look back and forth, and he still to this day jokes about the fact that he and I stood beside each other, and people asked me for Mr. Mcneil. So Scotty is a wonderful inspiration. But for me, as far as inspiration, I didn't really know anybody that worked in this field. I loved acting. As I said, there wasn't any particular voice actor that inspired me as much as just the idea of creating characters, whether it be on stage or on film, or on video, or vocally in a studio. I just love doing it. But now I would say Steve Bloom is somebody that I really love and admire. He's a very good and close friend as well, and he's just an amazing voice actor as well.
Okay,
cool.
Thank you very much, you two.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You know what? We got time for one more question. Who wants to fight for it?
Hi, I'm Ben.
Hi, Ben.
I'm the one who owns the Evil Vincent plushie. And the shuriken. That was not it.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
I do that to try to get the Vincent down. Just to say.
You need to get one of those little telephone kind of cables with the Velcro that goes around your wrist, and put it on your plushie, so when she throws it, it comes right back to you.
Now, the question. Both of you have had plushies thrown at you today, I know.
Yes.
So what is it like to have them thrown at you?
What is it like?
Well, I find it moving. It's really it's a deeply emotional experience.
I tell you what, where's the plushie? Where is he?
He's up there.
Give it to me. Throw it to me. Throw it to me.
Away from the gear, yes.
You know what we're going to do? You know what we're going to do? And you guys are just going to have to listen and just use your imaginations out there. What was your name again?
Ben.
Ben, instead of asking us what it's like, we're going to find out. Come here. Sit right here.
You ready?
Let's see what you think it's like, Ben. Ready? Now.
It's awesome.
Now tell us, Ben. Tell us, Ben, in your own words, what was it like?
It's like a plushie hitting you.
There you go.
Exactly. Okay, that's sadly all the time we have for...
is it done already?
We are just about at the end here. I want to thank Martin at YTV for providing us some information on Vic's shows running on YTV. Also, Drac at crystalacids.com for his input and clarifications on a few of my previous shows, and I'll go into that a little more on our next episode, especially regarding the playing of Pyro and X-Men Evolution. Thank you to Melanie from Sam Vincent's fan site. Also to my very good friend Vic Mignogna.
Oh, it is my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. This has been fantastic. And, of course, to all of you guys here at AnimeCon, the fans as well as the organizers.
We
it's
love
been
you.
Great. Our next guest on episode 5 is going to be Miss Kelly Sheridan, who's played all kinds of roles. Barbie, and she's on Martin Mystery, and you name it, she's been on it. She's fantastic. This has been Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests. I am Trevor Devall, and this is Vic Mignogna saying farewell from AnimeThon in Edmonton. We will see you next time on Voiceprint.
We love you guys.
Farewell.